Welcome to the Check Your Head podcast, the podcast where notable musicians come on the show, share their mental health stories, their experiences, and most importantly, their solutions to some of the tough challenges in life. My name is Mari Fong, and I'm your host. I am also a music journalist and life coach for musicians. And today I am super excited because I'm a big fan of our guest today, Fred Armisen, who is a comedian and also a drummer and musician. A lot of people don't realize that he was in a punk band called Trenchmouth for about 8 years. Fred Armisen, I started watching him on Saturday Night Live and then watched every episode of Portlandia. And, you know, Fred Armisen is so busy. He just pops up everywhere. He's the band leader and drummer for Late Night with Seth Meyers. He lends his voice in the animated sitcom Big Mouth. He also is in HBO's Lost of Spookies. And, you know, you see him frequently just dropping by on Saturday Night Live and getting involved in the different skits. I also have psychotherapist KEREN CLARK, who's going to continue to talk about Dialectical Behavior Therapy, or DBT, which is a therapy that Lady Gaga spoke about during her 2020 interview with Oprah Winfrey. But first, I wanted to share some exciting news. I've been working hard to get a 501c3 nonprofit status for the podcast, and have partnered with DBSA San Gabriel Valley, which is the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance of San Gabriel Valley here in Los Angeles. And now all of your donations and subscriptions on Patreon are tax deductible. So I'm super excited about that. You can donate on our website, which is checkyourheadpodcast.com. Every dollar really is appreciated, and every listener is appreciated. So thank you so much for doing that. It helps me pay my podcast team and also pay for gear. Like, for instance, I'm really saving up to get this 2-microphone podcast bundle by Samsung, which is about $250, and I'd like to use that for the upcoming 320 Music Festival. And the 320 Music Festival is all about music and mental health awareness. Started by Kevin Lyman, who produced the Vans Warped Tour, and also with Talinda Bennington, who was the wife of Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. But let's get to our interview with Fred Armisen as he begins talking about music and also about his years in the punk band Trenchmouth.
With music, it's like all the stuff, like there's like laughing, and there's also like what music means to us. It's like such a huge part of our lives. I mean, our lives meaning me and you, you know, like
right.
Clearly. Because I remember when I met you, you had a Clash shirt on, so I know that I'm guessing that you've got like...
Yeah, I'm a big Clash and Devo fan too, because I read that, and that you started out in Trenchmouth, which was a punk band.
Yeah. I lived for punk rock. My whole life is all about punk rock.
Which I think was really interesting because to me, when I talk with you and I met you, even when you do your comedy, there's something kind of quiet about you, sort of a little bit introverted. And I find a lot of musicians and creative people are like that. They kind of go deep with their emotions, and they choose different industries like comedy or music to kind of express themselves. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it's even easier to do that versus having like a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah, I would agree. That's definitely the case. I even find punk rock to be introverted.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think like the stripped down... sort of lineup of bands, you know, it's usually pretty, you know, bass, guitar, and drums, some keyboards, seems to be only 4 or 5 members. And even though it might sound like they're screaming, sometimes I feel like a lot of times it's very pretty melodies. And there is something even in some of the dress style of punk rock that's kind of, something about it reads as introverted to me, as opposed to some of the glitzier looks of 70s rock and even glam rock and hair metal and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking about punk rock,
Yeah.
you know what I find really fascinating? I think that is true. I find that even like really hard metal rock, death metal, goth, all of that, you find people that are really sweet and sensitive on the inside. And I'm wondering, maybe that's their way to get out all that
Definitely.
angst.
Definitely. And there's also, even though something appears dark, like let's say death metal, there's actually something very light about it. Like I think there's something about it, even the way we celebrate Halloween and everything, actually does seem very like playful and goofy. Mm-hmm. So in an odd way, something like death metal is actually very sort of positive and fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Because when you get out there and people are just sort of thrashing around or there's something about that energy that makes you happy because
Totally.
it's an expression.
Yeah.
And you're in a venue or a place where you can express that, where maybe on a day-to-day basis you can't. You're not allowed to for whatever reasons.
Sure. And that's scarier. When it's like something that's like where you're in a sort of work environment where you're not allowed to, I can't even say not allowed to, but a kind of environment where it's difficult to express yourself. But something about death metal, even sometimes you look at the album covers, you sort of, for some reason, the first thing I do is laugh. And it's not in a mean way. I just laugh and I know it makes me happy. Mm-hmm. So it's great music. I think death metal is pretty great.
What's your favorite death metal band?
Mayhem, probably.
Mayhem,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mentioned Portlandia.
Yeah.
I've watched Lost of Spookies documentary now.
Yeah.
But I also watch on Seth Meyers.
Yeah.
As the band leader.
Yeah.
With the drumming.
Yeah. I'm doing it next week. I'm going back to do it next week. I go in maybe every other month or so. And I go do it for like a week. Yeah, I love it.
Now, you started out in music and then you went into comedy. Was that a planned thing or was that more
No.
like an opportunity that...
Nothing is planned. It's just like everything, even though I'm an ambitious person and I had my dreams, the way that I sort of expected it to go is not like this. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to do music. I'm going to be like David Byrne or Mark Mothersbaugh or somebody. Mm-hmm. And the more I sort of kept doing music, the more I was sort of getting nowhere. And then it's when I started doing comedy that it started opening up for me. So all of this stuff was like, it's just, which is one of the reasons I try not to plan ahead too much. Mm-hmm. I just try not to plan ahead because all of a sudden life is kind of like, no, actually, this is what you should be doing.
So you're kind of going by your intuition and what feels right to you.
Yeah, and short term. Very like, what seems right for this month.
Okay. Kind of spontaneous then.
Only because trying to plan things out years in advance never seems to be exactly the way things go.
Well, one thing that we've talked about on this podcast is kind of being in the now. Mm-hmm. And I know that's like one of those things that, people talk about being in the now.
Yeah.
But it really does allow us to focus on maybe what we feel is right. Like listening to our, even how our body feels when you're approached with an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like I went to, it's funny is I kind of put that out to the universe because I'm a big fan of yours. Mm-hmm. And I said, Fred Armisen is a musician, and I'm sure he's got a great story. And then when I found out that you were on Dynasty Typewriter, I mean, I was basically moving my car because I didn't want to get a ticket and saw you across the street. Yeah. But I'm glad you said yes to the podcast and that it felt right to you.
Yeah.
So
the Clash shirt helped.
Oh, the Clash shirt, thank God. Okay. Whatever works. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that weird? It's like almost like a weird, it's almost like sending like a symbol or something, or sending like some sort of like a secret passcode.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah. Well, sometimes musicians say that, like, their music is almost like a secret passcode to finding out, like, what that other musician is about.
Yeah.
Almost like a different language.
Yeah.
Do you find that to
Definitely.
be the same with you?
Definitely. Music is, it's almost like knowing if you're going to get along with somebody. It's like you could feel if someone's had similar shared experiences. Mm-hmm. And, something like a band like Devo is a perfect example of that. Like, you could tell that they're going to have a similar sense of humor or a similar outlook on things. Not that everyone has to have the same viewpoint, but I will say even someone being a music fan is sometimes a big deciding factor, because I've met people who are not music fans, mm-hmm. who music doesn't make a difference to them. So that's another interesting,
I think that's a little strange.
I've experienced it a lot.
Really?
Oh my God.
Like, no music at all?
Or just whatever's around.
Oh, okay.
I like whatever. Same thing with humor. There's some people who, like, kind of don't have a sense of humor. And there's nothing wrong with either.
Right.
But I'm just saying it does sort of help me, like, sort of navigate how are we going to get along.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I did this tour of Australia. I think age is a certain thing too. Like, I did this tour of Australia.
Yeah.
And the way to tour, it's so far away that I couldn't bring a crew with me. I had to hire someone there, and I hired for a tour manager a complete stranger. Mm-hmm. The guy happened to be my age and a music fan.
Okay.
So right away we got along. Mm-hmm. It's one of those weird things where if just mention a couple bands, Husker Du and whoever, mm-hmm. and there's this ease of like, okay, great, this is going to work out. I'm not saying it's a prerequisite for me to like somebody,
right?
But it's a way that I know that these next couple of weeks are going to be easy. Yeah,
sort of like you're on the same page.
Yeah.
Or if you like similar kind of music, there is sort of an understanding of at least, likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
And kind of what moves you.
Yeah. And aesthetics. And I think humor plays a big part of it.
I found a lot of musicians have a really good sense of humor. Mm-hmm. And that it's kind of, you doing both. I think a lot of musicians may not have the comfort to be able to go out and express themselves in comedy like you do.
Mm-hmm. Some of them do. It depends. I mean, I think when MTV first came out, mm-hmm. you could sort of start seeing the way some musicians were kind of playful. Definitely in a lot of early Beatles stuff, too. Like, you see that, their sense of humor shining through. But you're right. Yeah, it takes... You've got to... Also, you never know. Some musicians might not be confident enough about their sense of humor that they want to put it out there. So I guess it's different for every band. But there were some funny people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even sometimes going on stage can be really intimidating mm-hmm. for great musicians.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Some of them stop touring because of it, like Meg White. Mm-hmm. Her anxiety was, really an issue, and Barbra Streisand. Mm-hmm. And, quite a few. So
there's one more.
Which would...
I wonder if we're thinking of the same person.
All right, you tell me who it is.
Okay. I wonder if we're thinking... So... Are you thinking of someone? Because I'm thinking of someone.
Well, I've had quite a few musicians tell me that, oftentimes they throw up before they go up on stage because they're so nervous.
Oh, maybe we're not thinking of the same person. I'm thinking of Andy Partridge from XTC.
Oh.
So I love XTC.
I love XTC too.
And they're, somewhere along the way they got, or Andy had stage fright.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I've never had the opportunity to see XTC, and I'm sad about it. They're one of the greats.
Yeah, their music is amazing.
But obviously his mental health is more important, and I respect that.
Right. So. Adam Ant also, he talked
know.
about his depression.
Wow.
And who I saw just last year was New Order. And,
oh, yeah.
And I saw them at Coachella, too, and that got me super excited.
Oh, good.
But you mentioned a lot of, like, 80s new wave bands.
Yeah. That's what I grew up on.
Yeah, me too. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But going from music to comedy and doing both does take a lot of bravery, you know, putting yourself out there. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to a musician that, you know, may have that stage fright or the anxiety that really, you know, might prevent them to having their creativity go out in the world?
That's a pretty easy answer in that I would say just start small.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a musician and you're like, should I do comedy? Just think of it exactly opposite if there was a comedian who wanted to make music. And just think of like, if someone's scared to do it, sure. But if it's in a teeny venue with 8 people, that's easy. And just go from there. Mm-hmm. Because once it's a really, I feel like it's a pretty, there's another attitude also to add to that too, which is don't worry about it. Like if it's not great, then it's not great. And you just do another one and you do another one and it just keeps going. Mm-hmm. So I started off with very small goals. Just like, I remember there was some sort of variety show. I'm talking like just at a club.
Yeah.
That my friends were doing. And I was like, oh, I want to be in that. I'll do some sort of weird comedy thing. And because it's small, there wasn't as much pressure. It was just like being a part of something.
Right.
So I would say that's like a way in. The other thing is like, I also have this, this is a separate thing. I have this other opinion that like, if something's terrible, so what? You know, what if it's bad? Then it's bad. Who cares? You know, it's just an evening. It passes and then there's the next day and then just have a bad show.
Yeah.
Do something dumb, do something bad. And I've done so many terrible shows. I've done so many shows where I didn't know what I was doing, where it wasn't funny, where I wasn't reading the room. And so what? It's just like, audiences, you know, they're just people too. They go on with their night and it's not the end of the world. Like you let everybody down. The audience goes, oh, well, I'll just have a drink anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So kind of taking things in stride and not taking things too seriously. And starting small and practicing.
I would say that, yeah.
Starting small and practicing.
Yeah, I would say start small. I think one fun way in also is just to like, whatever venue or thing you're going into, it's nice if those are your friends. As opposed to, you know, something so alien that you're going to really feel scared. Sometimes if it's something that a bunch of your friends are doing, that's also fun because you get to be backstage with them and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just that there's nothing so special about the one night. It's just like when I look back, that's almost like I'm like, oh, what was I stressing out about?
Yeah,
that was just one of 50 shows in that period of however many years, and then there was a good one, and then there was a weird one, and then there was one where the technical stuff didn't work. Right. It's almost like eating meals. It's like some are great, and it doesn't matter in the end. You remember the good ones, and the bad ones are kind of fun to remember.
Was there ever a bad one that really kind of got to you and made you like really sad or just really questioning whether or not you should continue?
No.
Okay.
I just don't care.
Okay.
You know, like
I think that's a good attitude.
It's just that like I spent so much time playing in a band, getting nowhere, that like any comedy show I ever did was always already easier that I didn't have all this equipment with me. And then it's not, I love it when it goes great, but when it doesn't go great, there's something that there's something in me that just does not care.
Well, I think that sometimes we put too much focus on ourselves when we do things, and thinking that everybody has the same focus that we do.
Exactly.
But they don't, because they're focusing on themselves too.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes when there's a mess up, I say, well, you know what? It might be dinner conversation for somebody, but after that, you know.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's the self-importance of like, but my night and my show and these people were looking at me. People, they really are thinking, it's nice to be entertained, but they are thinking about, I want to go home eventually. At the end of this night, I'm going to go home. So they're all already thinking like, what, am I going to get a ride? Am I still hungry? Did we eat already? No, we ate, but I might want a second meal. That's the evening. And then someone says something funny on stage and great. And that's it. It's not, you're not their evening of like, even if you're a headliner on a show, you're just part of entertainment for the night. Okay. So I'm agreeing with you.
All right. So, you've done touring. You've done so many different projects. I'm trying to get to something where, especially like career relationships or people that you work with. I mean, how do you kind of resolve that if you feel that, things aren't working with people that you work with?
That's also doesn't matter that much, because if you're not getting along with someone, sometimes the work is fine anyway. So it is just a job. So it doesn't matter that much. You both got hired to do something. You're on some show, and it's over in a half an hour anyway. So it's almost like it's not that important that everyone has to get along, and it's got to be. I mean, I've been very fortunate in that the situations I've been in, everyone's been lovely. But when that does happen, if you're not getting along with someone, or I've been on sets where it's tense. Yeah. So what? It's just a workplace. Every hospital rooms, I'm sure, are tense. I'm sure there's garages where people working on cars where it's just life is tense sometimes. That's okay.
So you just kind of have things roll off your back and just not be concerned with them much.
It's just it's a never-ending goal if it's only going to be, I need everyone to get along. It's just, it's just too much. It's like too much pressure to put on a work day. Yeah.
How about in Trenchmouth? I mean, it was four members of the band.
Yeah.
And trying to have that. I mean, it's hard enough to have a one-on-one,
it's
relation.
Very intense.
Very intense.
Really intense. It's very. Being in a band is like, you have to share everything. You're in constant conversation. I love them very much. They're like my brothers. I grew up with. I formed, my opinions of music through them, and it's like the best learning experience. But being in a band is, you just like, you're trying to find a time to eat, and someone wants to eat healthy, someone doesn't. Everything takes really long. The bathroom situation is just really unmanageable. The fact that you've got to share a room and it's like someone's got to use the bathroom, someone doesn't. It's very like, that's hard. The fact that someone knows when you're going to the bathroom is like, that's like so private. I'm like, I want to just be on my own and go to the other side of town just so I'm like, so it's very not private. On the other hand, you're in your 20s, so it's like, you're having a nice time anyway, but it's intense being in a band.
So that was part 1 of Fred Armisen's interview. Stay tuned for part 2 of Fred's interview in an upcoming episode. Now we're going to speak with psychotherapist KEREN CLARK, who you met in a previous episode, which was Gilby Clark's episode. And she will be speaking more on DBT, which stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy. Lady Gaga did mention radical acceptance and the whole idea, you say emotional intelligence, and she described wisdom as a combination of facts plus emotion. We need to really pay attention to our emotions because our body and our minds are telling us something is wrong. And we could feel, we do have intuition where we could feel whether or not something is right and wrong. So the combination of facts and emotion, she equates to wisdom, which to me, when you said emotional intelligence, was kind of like also the combination of those two things.
And the beauty in that interview with between Oprah and Lady Gaga is what she's speaking of, what Lady Gaga is speaking about. She's talking about one of the first things we teach in DBT and the mindfulness, which is what we refer to as wise mind. And wise mind is the place where both reason, she refers to it as rational mind,
right,
and emotion are present. Both are present. Because as you're just saying, emotions give us an indication that something's wrong. Right? Just like if we're reaching towards something that's hot and we feel heat, we're like, oh, pull the hand away. Our emotions give us that kind of visceral data. And then our reasonable mind helps us to then make informed and more effective and decent choices that will serve us in the moments we're in. That DBT, as we say, is dialectical behavior therapy. So a dialectic, this is kind of important, is learning that through everywhere in our lives we're encountering things where two things that seem to be opposite are both true.
Okay.
And then how we kind of bring those together and navigate through that. How do we find a middle way?
What would an example be? Because I'm trying to think of how, that does happen quite a bit.
All the time.
What's something that you've, I guess an example that you've seen in your clients where two things are completely different and we have to make sense of that?
So a kind of intense example is like someone who has been physically or sexually abused, like say by a parent or someone else in their family that helped raise them.
Yeah.
They can both love that person and hate that person.
Okay.
They can both love that person and be intensely angry at that person.
I see. Okay.
They could have a troubled history with them and now have a great relationship with them. Two things.
Okay.
Seeming opposites, both of which are actually true.
Okay.
And if we don't find a way to the middle of that, it's just really confusing.
Yeah. So how do we get to the middle? And what is it? Is there something?
Learning more and more about that. Learning to begin to recognize all those dialectics in our life. Learning to accept they're there. Learning to regulate our emotions more effectively so that we can, and handle our distress when we're confronted by them.
Yeah.
So that we can more ultimately have stronger, we kind of talk about it as muscle to be able to really what we talk about in DBT is build our lives worth living.
Build our lives
worth living.
Worth living. Okay.
Right? So because if you see suicide as a solution, probably you're not living a life that feels worth living. And we all absolutely need to experience a life, even with pain in it, as worth living.
Well, that's the part that we can talk about this, because when you're in really bad pain, when you're in a panic attack and you feel like you're dying, or you're feeling that you're in the depths of depression and it's like you just want the pain to end. It's hard to feel appreciative. It's hard to feel gratitude. But I know that those are things that are important to get to the next level up and to start improving your life.
Right. And it does take practice, as you were indicating earlier in our interview. It's learning the skills of DBT, but not applying them. That's not going to serve you. It really is a therapy I call it a therapy of practice, not a therapy of epiphany. The focus is really learning how to practice applying the skills from all the modules, which also include ultimately interpersonal effectiveness as the fourth, which includes how to be more effective in all of our relations, including with ourselves.
Okay.
And that takes some time and practice. It is often it's like going to the gym and learning how to build your biceps.
Yeah.
It's like learning a brand new language.
Okay.
It takes practice. We are working to accept ourselves and other people right where we all are. And we know we can all always do better.
We had Sir Bob Cornelius Brifo. He's from the Bloody Beetroots. He talked a lot about evolving. And I've got to a point where I just the thought of always trying to improve myself makes you want to do better, right? And be open to new ideas and new, ways of doing things. So just having that open mind too, to have that hope that things will get better, trying this therapy. And the thing is, there's so many different solutions that can work for different people. It's really being persistent and finding what feels good to you and what works for you.
Right. So DBT is integrated into my life. And my favorite module always has been, because for me it was the biggest change when I was first learning DBT and in my intensive and applying it to myself as well as learning how to teach other people about it.
Yeah.
I was going through a divorce.
Ah.
And so the interpersonal effectiveness module.
Oh my gosh.
It was mind-blowing. And now, mind you, I've been a therapist already for quite a while. I'm a decently skillful person.
Right.
But the way that Marsha Linehan created and integrated and interwove what we often refer to as the three legs of the interpersonal effectiveness stool was revolutionary.
Okay.
And those three really are, what is my relationship to what it is I want to get out of my interaction with you right this minute? For everything from when I'm in the grocery store checking out to an intense conversation I'm going to have with my teenager later in the day. Right?
Yeah.
What is my relationship to what is it I want to get out of that or have happen?
Yeah.
What is my relationship with that other person? How do I be skillful in taking care of that? Even while I'm having maybe a difficult conversation because I have this goal in the conversation to settle in it with my teenager. How do I simultaneously keep an eye on that goal, take care of that relationship because it's important to me, and also keep an eye on the third leg, which is my self-respect.
Okay.
So that I'm behaving in ways during that interaction that I will feel okay about later and not feel guilty or ashamed or like, oh my God, I totally lost it with her when she defied me. Oh, now I feel awful. I feel like such a terrible mother. The most effective interaction is one where we know what's our primary one. Like, is it that we want to say no to something or ask for something? Do we want to just have a sweet relationship, a sweet moment with a beloved? Or do I really need to stand up for myself, which is self-respect? We want to know which one's primary, and we want to use them all. Because that's what's going to work the best. In all of those levels, for both what it is we want to get accomplished. Yeah. And also to care for those people we love. Or anyone we're interacting with in a humane, compassionate manner.
Right. We're talking a little bit about gratitude and appreciation. Like I said, sometimes when we're not in a good place, it's hard to think of things to be grateful for, but it's really important, even the simple things. And I myself, I know friends that have a gratitude jar, and, every time, maybe it's on a daily basis, writing down something they're just grateful for. And it could be something as simple as, you know what, I had like my favorite ice cream today, and I felt so good about that because it was a nice, ending to my day. Or, just appreciating, a really important relationship that you've had for a long time and expressing that to the other person. That always feels good too, right? And the other person, I'm sure, feels great to hear that appreciation.
Absolutely. Gratitude is a really important practice, among others, and it's a mindfulness practice, right? Because you're being mindful to that in particular. Like as you're doing, say, we'll sometimes assign our clients a gratitude list or a gratitude journal, so that they have actually a list, so that when they forget, when they're having a hard time and they can't in that moment even begin to think of anything they're grateful for. Like if you're really upset about something and I say, oh, well, just be grateful for what you have, that could feel invalidating. However, later, when you were calmed down a little bit, you might go, you know what? I'm going to go look at my gratitude journal so I can remind myself, maybe being grateful for something might be helpful right this minute. It wasn't maybe helpful right in that moment to be reminded that I ought to be grateful when I'm just mad. Yeah. But it could be helpful later. So having those resources to get to, we encourage our clients. One of the skills in emotion regulation is what we refer to as accumulating positives or pleasant events. So looking for things in our lives that we enjoy doing and making sure we do them. And certainly keeping a gratitude journal, having a gratitude list, it can be a really important practice in that respect, because it's something that's pleasant, something that we enjoy. Spending time with a loved one, petting one of our animals can both be a mindful experience as well as a pleasant event. All kinds of ways that we integrate skills that we learn in DBT, and they're multiple skills at the same time.
People talk about triggers, which we associate with negative emotions, but there could also be triggers for happiness. And we can borrow emotions from the past or scenarios in our mind that make us feel better or make us feel more relieved, or maybe takes us away from a stressful time in our life. You know, it's almost like a mental vacation. You're right. I mean, our body responds to what we're thinking. So if we think about that great vacation in Belize and all the fun that we had, or just, you know, relaxing on the beach, it can give us physical and mental relief.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact,
Right.
the Devo vacation is mini vacation, and that can even be like letting yourself stay in bed an extra hour, right? Or it can be remembering your vacation in Belize, or it can be planning a vacation that's coming up. Absolutely. And I believe 100%, and because I know I did too, everyone can benefit from learning the skills of DBT. And some people really, really, really benefit enormously. You know, as Lady Gaga in her interview really will talk about, you know.
And that's such a good interview. She was not only really honest and vulnerable, but I think she laid out those skills and things that she's done in a way that really can relate to a lot of different people. The last thing I wanted to talk about, though, is radical acceptance. How would you describe radical acceptance?
The real fact about radical acceptance is that we can only change something that we have first accepted as so. And important to know that radical acceptance does not equate with approval. It doesn't equate with acceptance that it's never going to change. It simply means in this moment, I'm accepting that this is what the situation, and it's not about the future. The only thing you ever have to radically accept in the future might be, I don't know, like I give an example to my clients, like that I may have to accept at the ripe old age of 60 that I'm never going to be an astronaut in the future.
And that we will probably all have to pay taxes. That one day our maker's going to come, but right, they say death and taxes, but anyways.
Right, but what we're radically accepting is the moment as it is. And the only way that we can actually change anything that we may choose to change is if we accept that it is what it is. I can't change the relationship, say, with a friend that I'm having a conflict with until I've accepted that there's something off and there's a conflict there. If I just go on pretending like there's no conflict, but there is, it's not going to be effective, and I'm not going to be able to maybe apologize for something I may have said or done, or go and speak to them about what I thought they said and get some clarity. I have to first accept I'm having some kind of experience there in order to make a change. Sometimes it's really hard to do.
I think that is probably the hardest part, because what it does is we have to look at ourselves, and radical acceptance is also like taking responsibility, right? Like, you know what? I said that. You know, what's my part in this, relationship? What did I do to, it takes two to tango. And then when we look at ourselves and say, okay, I did that, then it's taking the responsibility to do something different, to change. And that is work that some people don't want to do. But I guess it's so important for us to be better, right? If you really want to be better. And oftentimes the work, like you're saying, can feel really good, because it's also saying that, you know what, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I want to do better. And I don't want to keep making, especially the same mistake over and over and closing my eyes to it. I think it's time now to say, you know what, maybe I got to change this part, and I can do better.
That's right. And with radical acceptance, we have other skills that help us get there, like learning how to practice being willing. We call also turning towards radical acceptance, because sometimes the things that are really hard for us to radically accept, it's work. Like if we were in the Zen moment about it, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it takes time, and all that stumbling that happens in between makes us feel uncomfortable. But we should not look at it as failure. That's progress, because no one becomes an expert on their first try, and nobody expects that from people. And I think that's when we talk about our mistakes, or when things don't work out, and when we finally get there, that's what people relate to, and people respect you really for trying, instead of just saying it's too much effort or I'm afraid. to make the stumbles.
The truth is, as well, one of the most effective ways to change the relationships that we want to keep in our lives, even if they're hard sometimes, and when they are hard sometimes, because lifelong relationships, whether those be children or partners or parents or whatever, are going to be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Really relates to that willingness to turn towards that acceptance. That when we do make changes in how we are interacting with the people we care about, or just in general, then that begins to change them. Even because what I do and say to you impacts you.
Yeah.
And then what you say and do impacts me. In DBT, we call that the transactional nature of reality, the simple truth that we all affect each other all the time. So as I make changes and I'm behaving differently, that will impact you, and you will start to be a little different.
Yeah, that's the part that's
in
great.
Relationship with me.
Right. And I think that's important to point out, because our words, our behavior, our energy, which is pretty much our intent, does affect people, does affect our words, make a difference. Our behaviors make a difference to other people. And whether we see it or not, they react to them. But also importantly, like the words that we say also affect, it's a belief that it's going to affect us too. Like even if sometimes, when people joke, they're like, I'm just joking. And I'm like, that's kind of bullying what you're saying. That's not funny. Or if they say something about themselves and, they're maybe just joking. Well, your brain doesn't know the difference between a joke and what's true. They're going to take everything that you say or think is true. And that's, I think, the part that we have to really be mindful of is, let's treat other people, let's treat ourselves well, and let's talk in a positive way, because or pick out the things that are working instead of like focusing on the negative, because as we do that moves us forward,
Yes. And actually, again, DBT being a behavior therapy, is what actually does encourage change, is what you were just saying, is reinforcement, or in some way letting someone know you appreciate what they're doing. Things that feel good actually are what encourages change. Pointing out what people do wrong. Sometimes we need to.
Yeah, we got to have the honest conversations
and so on. And it actually isn't the thing that's most powerful for teaching new behavior. What's the most powerful thing for teaching new behavior is like when the person starts to do that behavior that you like, that you reward them in some way. Whether it doesn't have to be like a treat or dinner out. It's just, thank you. Oh, I so appreciate that. Or just a smile or a touch or anything that that person then experiences as good, as pleasant, as affirmation and validation that what they're doing is making a difference.
I was just thinking, I love it when people do that with me, and I feel good when I do that with other people. But when we have to have a difficult conversation about something that we don't like or something that needs to be solved or improved, that's the part where people kind of trip up. And sometimes just the fear of their reaction makes it so that it's never discussed. And then it just gets so big, then all of a sudden there's a blow up. Right. So try to be mindful about how to present it to that person in a way where it's like, I care about our relationship. I care about you. I care about, how we get along. I've noticed this, and this is how it makes me feel. And I know that you don't intend for that. I would think you don't intend for me, but this is how it makes me feel. And let's talk about this. Maybe that's a way to approach it.
Absolutely. And what you just modeled was very skillful. and again, why I love interpersonal effectiveness so much is you were interweaving all three of those: the objective effectiveness, like we need to talk.
Yeah.
The relationship effectiveness, I so appreciate our relationship and I care about you so much. And self-respect effectiveness, which is you're behaving in a way that you feel good about as you're speaking to me.
Okay.
Right. And in DBT, we have mnemonic devices for each of those, and we have maps.
Yeah.
That those reflect and help people learn how to practice doing just what you did.
Okay.
And how to actually do a little script for themselves, just to help them get it clear in their brain even.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we have all this jumble going on, like what we're upset about and how our history has been like that all forever, and how it all gets, as you're describing, especially if we've been triggered in some way.
Right.
It all gets mushed together. So if we're trying to do something that relates to a relationship, those skills and stepping back far enough mindfully to notice that you're in this chaotic experience, and then figure out how to most effectively approach that person or whatever. It involves all the skills of DB, and particularly those interpersonal effectiveness skills.
The other thing, the last thing I wanted to mention is you talk about group therapy. And sometimes when we go through things with other people that are going through the same things, it really helps to validate how we're feeling. And it also kind of helps us, if we're trying something new like DBT, to kind of share the experiences as we're going through it, including things that didn't work out. It makes us feel a little bit more human, right? Like, oh my gosh, the same thing happened with me, because I do really encourage things like support groups or, doing something with someone else. I mean, oftentimes the whole journey of getting better is your own journey and yourself deciding, I want to get better and making that step. But it's also good to have other people around you that are encouraging and supporting you and have an understanding of what's going on.
Yes, and in DBT, the group therapy is what we call a psychoeducational. So the point is to teach the skills of DBT, and why we love doing it in group is for the reasons you were just mentioning, is that as you're learning a particular set of skills, everybody shares about how they're applying those skills in their lives. A group supplies other members who have their own versions of similar or different experiences to you, but they're also there to learn the skills and to share how and to build ever more muscle, become ever more fluent in them. And people are at different levels too. They've been doing it for longer or shorter periods of time, so then they can inspire hope for each other. So absolutely, a group setting is so powerful.
So that concludes our episode. If you'd like to know more about Keren Clark, be sure to visit her website at KerenClark.com. That's KerenClark.com. And if you'd like to know more about Fred Armisen, visit his website at FredArmisen.com. He's got some really cool, old student films that he created way back in the day, and also Thunder Ant, which he created with Carrie Brownstein before Portlandia, and some really cool stuff. So until next time, be brave, ask for help, and be persistent in finding the mental help that you need. Check Your Head is kindly supported by DBSA San Gabriel Valley, Lemon Tree Studios in Los Angeles, Blue Oak Podcasting, and other kind donors and sponsors. Visit checkyourheadpodcast.com where you'll find more resources for mental help, subscribe $2 to our podcast on our Patreon page, and be our friends on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check Your Head Podcast is a 501c3 sponsored nonprofit with all donations being tax deductible. Thank you so much for listening.